Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking about a few strategies that can help English learners in the classroom, specifically learners that have special needs. I would like to say before moving on, I was a well I was well aware of English learners, but I didn't realize that there were English learners that had special needs. And I just thought, oh my goodness, what double adversity that they must overcome to be successful. And I think that students that push through those adversities are resilient. And so the first strategy that I want to talk about is the intervention. The intervention is really important to do first before the assessment, before figuring out if a child does need to be assessed, because the intervention gives some room for the teacher to get to know the student before doing an assessment. So what I mean by that is, while I was reading some of the material for this discussion, one of the articles was talking about how it takes about a year for a teacher to get to know the student before being able to identify if they really uh, do have difficulties as an English learner, or they are having difficulties um, because they are special needs, English learners with special needs. Um, so, which makes a lot of sense because when it comes to a teacher student, um, when it comes to a teacher and a student, it's it's a relationship. So it makes sense as to why it would take a teacher a year to be able to determine if a child needs to be or what interventions need to take place, because getting to know someone takes time. And one of the ways to uh, get to know if a student um, does have special needs is to pair that student with another English learner, uh, to be able to determine, okay, well, such and such student or so and so is doing well, and I see this English learner is also doing well, but this one is falling behind. So perhaps we need to um, looking into this child getting assessed. Um, Another intervention strategy would be to provide a student with an aid that can speak their native language. Um, so that, because if they can understand, or if somebody can interpret the work that needs to be done, um, they may do well. Maybe they just need somebody to explain it to them. Um, And then another intervention strategy would be to, if there's a large assignment, a big strategy would be to break that assignment into smaller pieces, um, to help them accomplish that specific task. And another intervention that I liked, which is always key for me, this is my go-to one, is to provide visuals um, to the student. As for instructional strategies, one of the articles was talking about pre-production. And before I get into this one, I remember I used to have a friend in college. He's a Hungarian, and he said that when he came to the States, a family took him in, and he didn't understand English, or at least he knew. I mean, he knew some English, but he said what helped him get getting to the routine of being able to comprehend it, understand the flow, is he used to watch a lot of SpongeBob. So, as I was reading about this pre-production strategy, it reminded me of him, because one of the strategies that is on here is, it says to emphasize listening comprehension by using read alouds and music. And one of the shows that came to my mind was Peppa Pig, because my son loves to watch Peppa Pig. And I noticed that the narrator, he speaks slowly, and there's always music that is inserted into Peppa Pig. So the reason why I bring up Peppa Pig is because there's a lot of characters that have voices that are very distinctive to what the child can see, and there's always music that flows in that segment. And so when I think about my son, he's autistic and he also has a speech delay. He's not, well, evidently he's not an English learner, but I imagine an English learner, it's very similar in having a speech delay where it's very difficult to understand all that is happening in when somebody is talking and saying something. And so and then I also thought about, I'm kind of going all over the place, but I also think about myself, like I understand the Spanish tongue. I mean, I understand that. I can pick up that, okay, somebody is speaking Spanish. I cannot understand all. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but there are few words that I can comprehend. And that's, because I have been exposed to those. So I think that reading books really, before an English learner can actually speak English, I think reading, just getting them exposed to English is essential, because even though they may be behind in speaking it, they can slowly comprehend it. So I'm really big on reading books. I'm a big storyteller. And storytelling not only allows for a child to comprehend, but it also paints a picture, and it also allows for the teacher to be animated in what they're saying to a child, which engages and intrigues the child to follow into the story. So even if they're not making eye contact with you, they're still listening in. They're still hearing those intonations, the flow of the English language. So I really think that this strategy is important. Let me check. Let's see. There was another one I wanted to talk about. The second strategy is use visuals and have students point to pictures or act out vocabulary. And that's something that I do with my son, who has a speech delay. So that is how I kind of test him out to see if he is into the story. Actually, here's this Peppa Pig story. So I'll say something like, "Ooh, Israel, can you point to where Teddy is? Where is Teddy? Where is Peppa?" So I will speak slowly, and where he can understand that, oh, she's asking me a question. Let me see if I can point and see. And oh shoot, I lost the page. But I would say something like, goodness. Oh, here we go. Here's Teddy, and here is Peppa Pig. Let's see what Peppa Pig is doing. What is she doing? Oh, she's asleep? Okay, let's go to sleep. How about Teddy? Is she asleep? No, she's not asleep right now. She's wide awake. Ooh, she's looking. So something like that I would do to for him to connect the language with the action. So that is something that I'm big on too, is acting out the vocabulary, because especially with kids, because kids love stories, and they are there's a lot of that imagination play, and I think that pulling the gifts and what is innate to them already should be used for their good. So those were another strategy that I wanted to point out is to speak slowly and use shorter words. And I use Peppa Pig as my example. When I'm speaking to my son, I make sure that I speak slowly and I'm almost mimicking the narrator that is on Peppa Pig. So that way he's watching my mouth and looking at my eyes. So I'll point to myself to where I want him to focus. And while I'm speaking slowly to him. So all of these are great strategies for children, and I think it's best to implement them while having fun. Because while children are having fun and being engaged, then they're able to enhance their skill level in English, the English language.